Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Tallie Spencer. We are back for another Making It magazine interview. I got somebody very special with me today who we're going to be chopping it up with and interviewing. He goes by the name of Michael Matthews, and he is the founder and creator and president of Digital Radio Tracker. I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Hey, Michael.
How you doing, Tally? Thanks for having me today. Been a big fan of Making It magazine, a loyal supporter from kind of day one. Love what you guys are doing, man. This is such an innovative and creative process now, integrating video and doing enhanced magazine. I love it, and I just love thankful to you guys for being a part of it, and anything we can do to help support. I'm the president and founder of Digital Radio Tracker. We're a broadcast monitoring company where we track more than 5,000 radio stations around the world. Our predominant focus is digital streaming radio. We want to focus on a lot of territories like India, Africa, Russia, Mexico, a lot of territories that no other monitoring company in the world wants to monitor. We're considered the people's brand. We want to give a voice to the unheard. So that's what we're about. There's a lot of music that's moving virally now. People in 2022, people aren't realizing how big and how much music moves now. You could just post music on social media, and all of a sudden you're getting played in Japan and Korea and Spain and Germany and Australia. And we thought about it. We said, wait a minute, nobody's tracking this. Nobody's able to kind of go in and at least let, especially the independent artists, they don't have a clue what's really going on with their music. And so
Mhm.
we tend to focus a lot more on that end, but we also track some terrestrial FM, college, community radio as well. And so we kind of give one perspective of what your music is doing at radio. So it's exciting, and we love the fact of giving back and creating a platform that especially independent artists and labels are able to get engaged with and be able to use the analytics to collect royalties, set up interviews, be able to monetize and build their brand. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's about getting your brand out there, getting heard, building a fan base, and being able to grow. And most importantly, making money, making a living at what you love to do. So we're glad that we can play a role in that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that amazing quick summary of Digital Radio Tracker. I definitely want have more questions for you. I want to learn more about the brand and exactly how it operates. There were some interesting things that you kind of touched on, including, artists not knowing exactly what's happening to their music. We live in the streaming world and the digital era where music is being put on platforms and we don't know who's listening to it. We don't know who's seeing it. So I would love if you could talk a little bit more about that aspect and, what exactly goes into tracking and what's the importance of really, tracking music.
Well, one of the unique things that we developed at Digital Radio Tracker, again, we just celebrated our 10th year anniversary. We're on our 11th year now, and we're excited at what we've been able to do. A lot of people have been looking at us and saying, hey, you guys are revolutionizing the internet radio, digital streaming radio game, because one of the things that we do that's very unique is that we developed a technology where we don't track songs, we actually track radio stations. And what that means is we don't require any special encoding or fingerprinting. What we're doing is we're timestamping and logging all of the songs that a station is playing. So therefore, we don't miss any spins like a lot of other monitoring companies do because they're only going to track, they follow songs versus following the stations. So if you only have two songs encoded, they're going to only show two songs that have been played on that station. And we all know the entire day, there's 24 hours in a day, there's a lot of other songs that could be played. So one of the things that made us develop this technology was we thought about it. We said, well, wait a minute. If someone goes in a studio and records a song and say they post it on social media, share it maybe with the DJ, wanting to get some feedback, and they don't know if other people continue to share that song, well, what actually happens to it? What if it gets played? What if it gets in a programmer's hands on the other side of the world or whatever it may be? The advantage that we have is there's no special encoding or fingerprinting. So if your song is played, we're able to capture it from spin one. Therefore, a DRT file is created. It works very similar to like the credit bureaus. The first time you
Mhm.
apply for credit or you use a credit transaction, a credit file is created. Then everything you do after that gets added to that file. So that's how DRT works, is once that song is played one time from any of the stations that we monitor, we now have a DRT file on it. and after that, all of the other stations that it gets played on gets added to it. So it's a very unique technology, and it allows us to one not miss spins. It also allows us to be able to capture airplay on songs that may not even traditionally be getting airplay.
Mm.
Say there's other songs released on an album that's not the primary single, but they're getting played. So we're able to also capture that. The other unique thing that DRT does that no other monitoring company in the world does is we also track versions of songs. So you might have a house mix, or you may have a feature. Say you have a regular original version, then you have a feature with Drake on it or Cardi B on it. Well, we're able to separate that data, whereas other monitoring companies, they put it all together as one song. So therefore, you have really no way of knowing, is that remix really getting airplay or is it not? Is that feature really adding value to your song or it's not? Maybe everybody's playing the original version. So these are additional things that we got in there and we said, what is the industry missing? What is those links that we can come in and say, hey, wait a minute, as coming from a radio marketing background myself, is I'm able to look at it and say, okay, this is information that I can better serve my clients, that I can be able to add value to what they're doing. Then they can then take that information and monetize it, whether it's set up interviews, whether it's be able to market merchandise for sales to those target areas, set up shows, set up interviews, all of these types of things that can help perpetuate and grow one's fan base, but also help enhance their career. And that's what DRT is about. We're about adding value to one's career, whether you're an independent artist, a label, independent label, or even a major label, where we're saying, hey, we're not in or we're competition to no one, but value for everyone. And that's what we bring to the table is we say, hey, wait a minute, these are voids in the industry. We want to be able to close the gap. We don't want to compete with everyone. We want to add value to what you already have. So when you're looking at your analytics, you want to get a BDS report, you want to get a media base report, as well as a DRT report. You want to have a more of a complete picture of what your song is doing out there, especially at radio. And that in terms can help you further with your marketing.
Absolutely. Great answer, by the way. You're
Okay.
very just like answering all my questions as we go. But I really appreciate the detailed explanation. And I have to ask, this is something that you seem very passionate about. So I want to kind of get to the root of, what is your inspiration and what is your passion behind even starting something like this and wanting to add value to artists' inspiration and careers? Tell me a little bit about, the reason why you started something like this.
Well, I think for me, I've been in the industry now for 30 years. I'm proud to say I'm still in it. A whole lot of my peers are no longer in the industry. It's been tough, especially during the pandemic and things. But I've always had a passion for music. Of course, I wasn't. I was just one of those. I knew I couldn't make it behind the mic. I didn't want to sing or anything like that. I said, what is my place? What do I want to do? Everybody loves music. Everybody enjoys music and things, but what do I really want to do? And what I started off being an artist manager, and I managed artists professionally for 25 years. I managed you might have heard the R&B group Silk. That was my group, and we did a lot of things in back in the day, and I've been blessed to work with a lot of artists from Scarface and the Ghetto Boys to I mean, really, the names just go down the list and different artists that I've really, uh, man, I've been just so thankful just had the opportunity to be able to be trusted. And I think it's one of the hardest things in this business where people will trust you with their career. I mean, we help launch careers from T Pain to Gucci Man to G Spot Boys to D Pharrell. There's so many artists that have come through that we've marketed when nobody knew who they were. And they were given a shot. We were one of the first to get them on the radio or, start to help build their fan base and stuff. And I think that's where a lot of my passion grew was coming from an artist management background, wanting artists to succeed, seeing how hard it is to get a video on MTV and BET, get a song on the radio. And I wanted to be a better manager. So I started learning about other facets of the business. How do songs get on the radio? How do videos get on MTV, BT, and so forth? All of these types of things is what I felt made me a better manager. So, as I went through that whole period, I think that passion kind of trickled over. When I decided to retire from artist management, I said, okay, what am I going to do? What's next? And I have a successful marketing company. I've been doing radio promotion for about 25 of the 30 years. And I said, there's a void here. There's a void in the industry. I talked to a lot of my peers and, hey, do you guys want to monitor, just digital radio thing? I mean, again, this was years ago when the word streaming didn't even really exist. People don't realize that 15, 20 years ago, there was no Spotify, there was no Apple Music, there was no streaming. They were just technology was just barely getting into MP3s being downloaded. You remember that? You'd go buy an MP3 for 99 cents and download it and so forth. And I looked at the industry and I said, well, wait a minute. This technology is going nowhere. It's going to be doing nothing but growing. We've got to do something about it because this music is everywhere. I mean, just think about it, Tally. Who'd have thought you can consume music now from a refrigerator?
No.
Smart speakers. I mean, all of these things now on a major airlines are incorporating now internet radio. I mean, this is fascinating what we've seen just happen in this industry over the last 20 years. And so all of that culminated is what made me decide to really get involved in this and say, hey, you know what? If nobody wants to do it, somebody in this industry has got to be able to create a platform to be able to say, hey, wait a minute, because this technology is going nowhere. And people need it. People need to know what is their music doing out here. And so as
Yeah.
time is going, we're finding more and more the industry. And that's one of the things that I've learned as an innovator is you cannot be afraid to step out of the box of the mundane. You have to be willing to go first. And what we've realized that, 10 years ago, the industry wasn't ready for digital streaming radio. But look at now, people don't realize there's over 100,000 online broadcasters now. We're not even tracking a small percentage of them. It is incredible what the growth has happened and the platforms that are being created, the brands that are being built. What people don't realize is that today there is more money, more advertising dollars going into digital radio than Facebook. And if you
Mhm.
don't believe me, research that one. A lot of people don't even realize there's billions of dollars being spent online now. And the whole entire advertising game has changed. That's why even a lot of the terrestrial FM radio stations that we all love, we all grew up on, many of them are now saying, hey, wait a minute. We have to get online platforms and we have to stream our stations because there's listeners now globally. We are now in a global music industry now. It's no longer local. We can't think local. So I'm just grateful and thankful that DRT is at the forefront of this. So it's a
Yeah.
blessing to be able to give back.
Absolutely. Well, I love to hear that. And you did touch on a few other good points that I kind of wanted to break down for our audience who may not be as familiar with digital radio, streaming in specific. I want to know, how did, the rise of streaming kind of play a role in, the success of what you're doing or change the trajectory of how you guys operate?
Well, I think for a lot of people, especially with a lot of the DJs at terrestrial FM, a lot of individuals kind of got tired of the politics. Being told what to play, working off of lists and things. What the internet has done is it's what we call leveled the playing field. It's allowed people to build their own platforms to say, hey, wait a minute. That's what a big part of what social media is now, influencers and things. And people are
Mhm.
saying, hey, wait a minute. I want to play the music that I love, not what I'm told. And so they create these online stations, whether it's in their basement, their bedroom, and they start broadcasting. And they say, wait a minute. And they start finding out that people like it. People are following, people listening. If you really think about what I'm about to tell you, is people don't realize that digital streaming radio started back at the end of the 90s, in 1999. So you're talking really, when you think about that, that's 20 years old now. So,
Yeah.
but in the beginning, people really didn't understand it. They called it podcasting. It got into all these other types of things, and people kind of like, well, it's what that is. But since the enhancement of social media, think about it: Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, all these things. What it's done, it's drawn more people online. So now, what has started to happen because of social media, these online stations have thousands of listeners. Some of them are
Yeah.
100,000 listeners. They've grown their base so much to the point to where they've got their own brands, their own platform. They're making their own money. They are their own entities. And it's a beautiful thing. And that's why DRT was formed, because we wanted to pull these stations together. We wanted to create a broadcasting community, a family that can say, hey, wait a minute, there's strength in numbers. That, hey, you've got 10,000 listeners, you've got 10,000 listeners, you've got 100,000 listeners. We can put all of those things together collectively. That's a lot of power. There's
Yeah.
strength in numbers. And that's what DRT has been about. It's been about illustrating to these broadcasters that, hey, wait a minute, we need each other. If we come together, it's no longer about the usual guys. It's you can break down a lot of the political barriers. What people don't even realize, a lot of new music is being broke online now. People might say, oh, they're playing this song on the radio. The radio wasn't the first time that they heard it. Just think about it. A lot of these kids, you go ask 10 kids, how'd you hear about this song? They're not going to tell you the local FM station. They're
Yeah.
not discovering new music anymore like that. They're finding out about a lot of new music on digital streaming radio. So digital streaming radio, and one more last point to emphasize, has made such an impact on the music industry. Think about this. You have Spotify playlists now. You have
Yeah.
all of these other types of things that have been created because of individual platforms. It really all came from digital streaming radio, where people say, hey, wait a minute. I can be my own DJ now, right? I can create my own playlist. I can put my own favorite songs in there, and I can stream them all day long. So, really, conceptually, they're really doing the same thing as being an online broadcaster. They're just doing it for their own personal audience. So it's a beautiful thing to see how this industry has grown just from the concept of digital streaming radio.
No, absolutely. And that's incredible. You made a lot of great points there as well with, just the fact that artists have more control than ever to really promote their music and get it in the hands of playlists, curators, things of that nature. But like you said, people are still spending billions of dollars on ad revenue in the digital space. So it's definitely something that is still very much valuable. And with that being said, I want to know, what's kind of like the goal and the plan for the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see things going, and what's the vision?
One of the things that we're working on that we see is in the next 5, 10 years, we only see online growing even more. I mean, it's not going anywhere. Internet is here to stay. That's the fact. And now that people are able to go and create their own platforms, people are monetizing it, making a living. I mean, pandemic's going on. This just gives everybody another avenue to work from home. There's just so much into this, and how we see technology continue to evolve. One of the things that we're doing is we're working on a technology to be able to track DJ mix shows. It's never been done before. One of the things that we saw, or that we do see, is that a lot of DJs, they've created, yes, they may be playing other people's songs, but in the way they create that 15-minute mix or that 30-minute mix that they're doing, that's still their work. That's still their art. And nobody's tracking that. They're tracking songs. So therefore, the artists and the labels are getting the credit for that DJ's mix show, not that DJ, that mixer himself or herself. So what we're doing is we're creating a technology to be able to track those mix shows. Because what's happening is now, with especially with online radio, a lot of these DJ shows are syndicated on multiple stations. Well, how do they
Yeah.
know it's being played? How are they able to monetize it to be able to say, hey, wait a minute, my show is airing on 50 digital stations. We're reaching more than 1 million people, and be able to produce those numbers for potential advertisers, sponsors, be able to monetize it in various ways, in promotional campaigns, these types of things. It's never been done before. So we look at that as a big void in the industry that we're going to be at the forefront of. That we're saying, hey, wait a minute, we're going to give a voice to these unheard DJs that at the end of the day, they're the one breaking music. They're the ones giving opportunity to a lot of the new artists. So why don't they get their due? So things like that is where we see things happening technologically. Like I mentioned earlier, all the major airlines are putting digital radio on the airlines now. Now you have, people don't realize you've got close to 200 million cars on the road that they don't have CD players in it anymore. Think about that. they only have digital streaming radio in there. And it's awesome to see all of this growth. I mean, of course, we know about the Amazon Echoes, the Home Pods, all of these devices and things that music is streaming from. You got the smart TVs now. You got refrigerators playing music and videos. I mean, it's incredible. So we only see it endless to what can happen with this technology as it continues to evolve. So we're loving it. We're sitting back and enjoying the show because one of the things that we love about the place that we're in, it was interesting because when I conceived DRT in August 2011, the thought process was nobody's looking this way, but technology is going to continue to evolve.
Cool. So the last thing that you were saying was about the future of technology. It's not going anywhere. Social media is not disappearing, but streaming, so music is always going to be there, and it's on the rise. I want to know for our audience who's watching, what can independent artists do to get in contact with you guys? How can they get the ball rolling with you guys and break down, what's the best way that they can work with you?
Yeah, we've really made it simplified. The easiest way is just to sign up for a free DRT account on the website digitalradiotracker.com. It's completely free to sign up for an account. It's also free to use our artist database. We actually suggest that a lot of artists go on the site and just put your artist name in there or put your song title in and just see if anything pops up. You'll be surprised. A lot of artists are getting airplay on songs that they didn't even know. So that's one of the reasons why we expose that database. And also you can always follow us at Instagram at Digital Radio Tracker, and DM contact us that way, and someone will get back to you and things as well. So we're here to serve. We love the independent artists and labels. Like I said, I come from that background, so we have a passion and heart to try to help new and developing artists be able to succeed in this industry. And knowledge is power. The more analytics, the more information you have, and as we say, apply that information to your marketing, can best suit and increase your fan base and continue to help build your brand. So it's a working partnership. We can't do what we do without you guys, as well as you guys can't do without us. So it's a beautiful marriage.
Amazing. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today, Michael, and thank you so much for sharing that information and knowledge with us.
Thank you
Super
for
excited to continue to learn, and thank you for being willing to give back and help this community of artists.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Thank you so much. And you guys be blessed and make it a magazine.
Of course. Thank you. Have a great day.